schedule. What is up, guys? This is a different face that you're used to seeing here. I know you guys are used to seeing Sonny start off the show here, but this is kind of a joint project between me and the rest of the folks on this channel. We're kind of bringing it all together and uploading this onto my main YouTube channel too. And, you know, if you want to join these conversations, we're going to have them weekly between 4 AFC North fans. Subscribe to AFC North Talk, where we will do this weekly. We go live. You can chat, have fun, talk all that garbage with us. Without further ado, I'm going to bring in our esteemed panelists. Yes, this is like I'm on PTI. First, we're going to bring in Ace Boogie. I brought him up first because I like Ace Boogie the most. That's why, you know. Ace,
appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it. I'm doing good. I'm doing very good. I'm feeling a lot better than I was last week. I was kind of on the verge of a meltdown, but we'll talk about that. But next, I would like to bring on your arch enemy, bro. I got to bring him on, Tony Serino.
What's up? What's happening? Happy to be back with you guys. Hey, the Steelers in the last week with no salary cap space, they made some splashes, did they not? Did they not?
Yeah, nice third place moves, just like he was third to enter the chat, baby. Third place.
Listen, all right, let's bring in Sonny as well. Let's get the show on the road.
Best for last, right? You know how it is. Best for last. The winners of the division. You know how it is. Since we're gonna be repeating team this year, only in the division side because we're going all the way, my guys.
Yeah. So he said something along those lines. But the first thing I want to talk about with everybody here is kind of what Sonny alluded to. The immediate future, but also the long-term future of this division, I think is very, very interesting with the young quarterbacks that 3 out of the 4 teams are going to be having on their roster. So what I want to go do right now is kind of get a feel of what each team feels like the future is going to be. And I'm actually going to toss this off to Tony because I think that future is going to be the most interesting one to check out.
Yeah, I think the short-term future for the Steelers, right, is all about, we've talked about this before, but it's all about Ben Roethlisberger. It's all about his health. You know, the 2019 season was supposed to be a lost year for the Steelers, and it was. I mean, they didn't make the playoffs. They didn't make any noise in January, so it was a lost season because Ben Roethlisberger wasn't there. And we kind of got a future in Pittsburgh. We saw the future in Pittsburgh of what it's going to look like when Ben Roethlisberger ends up retiring. It's going to be not a whole lot of offense and hope that this defense can pick up the slack, and they did. And that's the most encouraging sign, is that this defense really did turn the corner. They were a top 5 defense, without a doubt, a top 2 defense, I would argue, in the NFL. And so the questions are all going to be about Ben Roethlisberger. I think in the short term, I like what we're going to see from the Steelers because, you know, obviously Ben Roethlisberger is a Hall of Famer. But beyond that, and we've talked about this before, this team enters quarterback hell, and they're going to have to go into a mode where they're going to have to evaluate quarterbacks and hopefully evaluate quarterbacks better than they did a couple years back when they drafted Mason Rudolph in the 3rd round. You know, that is the long-term future, but immediately, look, I think this team can be a Super Bowl contender over the next 2 years.
Okay, well, Tony, my biggest question for you is, do you think you have the young pieces on offense? If you had to go into a mode to where you might have to go with like, you know, maybe you don't have the best quarterback in the world, but you have like, a Brian Hoyer level guy or,
right,
Alex Smith, maybe 2013-esque guy. Do you feel like you have the young offensive pieces around you? Because I look around the division, you have MVP caliber, obviously Lamar Jackson, right. He just won the MVP.
Yeah.
You look at, in Cincinnati, you have Joe Burrow, who could be one of the greatest prospects to come in since who knows when, but the future's really uncertain there. And I look at Pittsburgh, and you got some decent pieces. You got James Conner, you got Juju, who, as much as I joke around, I do think he's a solid player. But I just don't see that one player that you can really rely on if you're going to have a quarterback-less offense.
Right. And no, I agree with that. I agree. I mean, and that's what you saw last year. Is you saw this defense just, or the offense fall off a cliff without Ben Roethlisberger. Because, look, last year was supposed to be about Juju establishing himself as a number 1 without Antonio Brown. He didn't really do that, partially because he was hurt, partially because, you just didn't have the quarterback play to really get him the football. I like what I see out of James Washington. We joke about him a lot. I still believe in James Washington, but I'll tell you why I believe in even more. And I know it's going to be a hot take, but it's one I'm going to build over the coming offseason.
Oh, here comes the Moncrief take.
Yeah, here is my Moncrief take. I think Deontay Johnson might be the most talented receiver long term that this roster has right now. Now we'll see if that bears out, because it's only his rookie year. Again, he hasn't played with Ben Roethlisberger. I haven't seen that rapport yet. But you're absolutely right in saying that there are more exciting futures in the long term for all three of you guys, more than me, right? If you're all of you probably want to fast forward to 5 years from now to see what happened with all of your quarterbacks and the teams that you guys are building. I absolutely do not want to fast forward 5 years from now because I do not want to know what the Steelers look like because it's not going to be pretty. I mean, look, James Conner's not a long-term answer at running back. At wide receiver, I like the core that they have now, but none of them are proven assets. It's all a bunch of question marks, and I'll include Juju in that. And then we haven't talked about the offensive line in Pittsburgh yet, but they're not exactly a bunch of young guys out there, right? You got guys like Pouncey and DeCastro, even Villanueva, who are probably on the back half of their careers as well, and that's going to be an offensive line that needs to be fixed in the coming years. So immediate future, fantastic. Long-term future, no thank you.
Yeah, so it looks like the Berlin Wall is falling down there in Pittsburgh, but I want to jump to the team now, the fan that represents that team, that I think has the most interesting and exciting and unpredictable future as far as next season and the seasons to come. And that's the Cincinnati Bengals. Ace, what's your outlook on that?
I'm super excited about the future and what's going on here because, all of the years that I've been a Bengals fan, over 15, 16 years now, this has been the most exciting time that we've actually been through in terms of free agency. I can remember times when I believe Antonio Bryant was like a big name, or not Alex, but Antoine Odom was like a huge name for us to sign. And these were moves that burned us in the past that kind of caused us not to be active in free agency. And I'm not going to lie, you guys saw the last episode. I was kind of losing it over here because, we had heard all of this talk that the Bengals were going to be active in free agency. And the first day, nothing really happened. And the next day, I believe after our show, DJ Reader, a guy that's 25, gets signed away from the Texans, which the Bengals have never done, and they make him the number one paid nose tackle in the league. It was just crazy. And then right after that, you get a Trey Waynes signing, which kind of caused some confusion because, I'm not a Dre Kirkpatrick fan, but I didn't know that we were in the market for a free agent corner. That kind of threw me off, especially with us signing him to that much money. But after seeing the deal later, it kind of makes sense. He's really only guaranteed $15 million this year. We really could get out of the contract, I believe, as early as next year if it doesn't work out. But we still get another young corner that comes over and at least gives us a guy that can tackle, which Drake Kirkpatrick cannot do that. So we upgraded on that aspect. And then we get Mackenzie Alexander, who's still another corner from the Vikings, which was a very good deal for me. I think it was 1 year, $4 million. So you can't really beat that. And, even though these signings were happening, our fans were kind of wondering okay, so we literally have one linebacker on the roster right now. Nick Vigil decided to go elsewhere, which I was cool with that. I didn't really want any of our linebackers back because they all were trash. But then we stole Josh Bynes from the Ravens. I loved it. I was very happy with that. Actually reached out to a couple of Ravens fans, and they were sad to see him go. So that was good. And then, I'm thinking that it's pretty much all over. And then Von Bell out of nowhere is on his way to Cincy. So a lot of good moves from what I've seen. And I'm definitely looking forward to the future. It definitely looks like they are loading up with any deficiencies that we've had, which I'm good with. And I'm hoping it's still kind of weird because we still have Andy Dalton on the roster. We still have Derek Patrick on the roster. So I kind of want to know what's going to happen with some of those guys. Sean Williams, another guy. But the future is bright right now in Cincinnati. And I think that there's a lot of optimism that has really been given into our fan base, even though we already have Joe Burrow. But this is just, the cherry on the top.
Yeah, so my question is kind of about Joe Burrow. And a lot of the future there does look bright, but it is very dependent on Joe Burrow being who everybody thinks he's going to be. Are there any worries down there in Cincinnati that they're putting too much on Joe Burrow to start? Or is there because, to me, it's like there's a lot of hope wrapped into Joe Burrow. What if he's not who people hope he is? What happens there?
Right. I think from our standpoint, we've felt like for a while, and I could probably speak for the segment of fans that they probably call the Dalton haters. I pretty much call myself a Dalton realist, and I felt like we've always had talent around him, but he hasn't been the guy that could really take advantage of it. And we feel like Joe Burrow can be that guy. He can come in. He won't be a guy that's going to throw it away on third and manageable and throw it out of bounds and pretty much sit down when he pees. But for the most part, we just are really optimistic about the foundation that we can set him up with. This is a roster that does have talent. This is a young mind in Zach Taylor, which is crazy because we only won 2 games. But from talking to some of my sources that are close to the players love this guy. They think that he's a very smart coach. They think that he just kind of was in a bad situation last year. So being that we can put him in a comfortable position with plenty of talent, I feel like the sky is kind of the limit for Joe Burrow. I'm not expecting anything too crazy. We're not expecting him to come in and throw for 40 or 50 touchdowns his rookie year. But if he can at least just come in and just be a guy that can motivate a lot of the players there and just get the thing going, I think that the rest will just fall in his place. If he's not the guy, just do what the Arizona Cardinals did. Just draft another one. We're at the point now. It's not like we're signing these Jamarcus Russell contracts anymore. You're not really tied down to one specific guy. You could easily move on from that guy within a year.
Now, the one guy in this room who I know has no sense of hatred towards his quarterback's rookie deal at all. It's got to be Sonny here. He has the MVP, reigning MVP. Ravens did a lot there. Some people are questioning whether the Ravens can come through in the playoffs 2 years in a row with Lamar Jackson, 2 disappointing finishes in a row, 2 underwhelming teams, if we're honest, but we're not here to get negative about the Ravens. Not yet.
You can't. Right now, you get negative about the Ravens, that means everything below is just that much worse. So let me say 2 things before I talk about my Ravens. I don't know, Tony. I heard that they're putting Social Security lines in the Steelers Stadium with all those retirement players going out. And Ace, this is legit. There's this rumor floating out that the Bengals might trade that first overall pick to the Dolphins. How crazy would the fans in Houday will get if that happens?
We'll put that out, Mike Florio.
Mike Brown would receive death threats if that happened. That's not happening. The only reason I say that, too, is this is a guy that you have to remember traded or passed on the trade for Ricky Williams, all of our draft picks for year 1. And he took Achilles Smith with that. Joe Burrow is light years ahead of Achilles Smith. So it's a no-brainer, especially just from a business standpoint. Mike Brown is a businessman first. You've got a guy from Ohio that's going to fill your seats, which is an issue that you've had the last couple of years. It just makes now to me, if Joe Burrow wasn't from Ohio, he didn't just capture a huge fan base just from everyone that fell in love with his story about being from Athens, Ohio, being a guy that's going to make sure that people that are homeless there eat, being a guy that, kind of wasn't picked at Ohio State, left and still came back and won a national championship. If there wasn't that story there and it was just Justin Herbert or Tua, then I could see it. But there's no way we're going to pass him.
Super. Okay, so I'm not hating on my team, my quarterback. Actually, Lamar Jackson is and will be, even if Joe Burrow is drafted, the youngest quarterback in the division, which is crazy because Lamar will have 2 years under his belt. And
he also runs the most least sustainable style of all of them.
MVP, baby. That's all I'm saying. So Lamar Jackson versus a guy like Cam Newton. Cam Newton used to run over people. I say this to everybody that Lamar Jackson runs a lot to the outside and he gets out of bounds a lot. Versus Cam Newton, I think that's the problem with Cam. Big dude, fun to watch, and he will run people over. But this is why running backs' shelf life is shorter. And that's the same thing that happened to Cam, in my opinion. He ran through so many people, and those linebackers, that toll gets to your body that at this point he's a shelf life. So I don't think that's Lamar. I also think Lamar is getting better as a thrower. From first year to second year, I expect him to take that step up. I would have loved if the Ravens would have been that team to offer a second round for D-Hop. That would have been spectacular.
I got a question for you.
We were in on that trade. The Bengals reportedly, apparently a guy from the Texans confirmed that the Bengals did call about D-Hop, which blew my mind.
They should have offered Joe Mixon. Because that's honestly a better package than what they got.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But I got a question for Sonny here about Lamar. And again, we all in this room are under no pretense that Lamar is not a passer. So this isn't coming from one of those trolling aspects. But I do have a question on like what are the realistic, expectations of what the ceiling is for Lamar Jackson's passing ability? Because I don't think, I think there is a level to where he can plateau as far as, developing into a passer, because just like being a great runner, some things do come naturally that you cannot develop into. And how much room do you think there is? I think there's a lot, me personally, I think there's a lot less room than people think, just because I think people assume that he was at such a low level to begin with. But if you look at where he was in Louisville before he came to Baltimore, he was actually not that far behind a guy like Josh Allen. So, the development he showed this year was very good. How much better than this year can he get realistically?
I think so. A couple of things. I think Lamar can get better. I don't expect him to be a guy like Drew Brees or that type of passer, but he feels comfortable in the pocket. So when you see him in a throwing situation, you see him stepping up, which a lot of young guys don't do well. You see him stepping up, going to progressions. We do run the ball a lot, but in a passing situation, if you go back, and since we're in quarantine, I have been watching Ravens videos from last year, just watching mechanics from Lamar, watching a couple different things, and you can see him stepping up. Now, the one thing that Lamar, and this is if he improves on this, that will be big, is throwing receivers on stride. Sometimes he throws them too high when they're open and running open. So if he throws them ahead, he could have just catch him and the receiver can just get some yak yardage. Sometimes he throws them too high. Sometimes he throws them a little behind. Not by much, but just enough for a corner to get there. I mean, it only takes that much, like a split second, right? So if he can get better in that, on throwing on stride, throwing to the guy as they're developing the route, I think that is the next step for him. I'm not talking about being a Brady or Brees that is always threading the needle. No. But the receivers were in situations that they had enough padding that if he throws in a stride, not only is a catch, it's also a couple of yards ahead. Now, the Ravens, other than Hollywood Brown, probably have the worst receiving core. Not probably. We do have the worst receiving core on the division if we take the Titans aside, just receiving. So the Ravens need to get better receiving. We obviously didn't bring anybody from free agency, although it was not the greatest free agency for wide receivers. I didn't think nobody should have been overpaying for the talents that was out there. But that means in the draft we need to address it.
Yeah, that's an interesting point there. I wonder about how bad the receivers actually are in Baltimore, though, because just watching Lamar at his best in Baltimore, and even like in things like the Pro Bowl, the Pro Bowl game, it just seems like he is so much more comfortable hitting tight ends and wide receivers to me. And I just think that just might be his game, is that he's going to be a guy who's going to utilize tight ends, but maybe he's going to underutilize some wide receivers. Maybe you can get him a couple burners, but I don't know if he's a guy who would really utilize somebody like, and it's hard to not see somebody like this being utilized, but to the max level, like DeAndre Hopkins or somebody.
Well, I don't know, because
he's a burner. Because he can get the ball over top, no doubt. But I'm just saying, like, when it comes to working those short, intermediate, the third
outside the numbers, I think was a. I mean, look, I have not been watching Ravens tape during my quarantine time, but my recollection, especially of the playoff game against the Titans and some of Lamar's worst games, right? The game where he struggled against the Steelers, he struggled to hit guys outside the numbers, right?
That's something I pointed out when I went to camp there with Engraven about Ravens camp. I said he still has issues, hitting that outside, the outside corner route. That always has seemed like an issue to him, hitting that route.
But look, so he basically threw to very little to the wide receivers other than Hollywood Brown. He did throw to Hollywood Brown, and he threw a lot. Hollywood Brown was playing injured. He said it through the years, like, I'm not playing 100%. And he did throw to Hollywood Brown a lot. And Hollywood, he was the benefit of that. But other than Hollywood, I feel like he never trusted the rest of the receivers. He threw Willis Snead here and there. And after Willis Snead, there was a big drop. Barely anybody got touches. I mean, Boykins got a couple. Seth Roberts got a couple, but not many. We're talking about basically was Hollywood got a lot of targets. And then Mark Andrews got a lot of targets. And after that, there was a big decline for the next whoever. Could be Hirsch, could be Snead, but those were the top two. It was a tight end, and after a tight end, there was a wide receiver. Those were his favorite targets. Looked like those were his boys. He needs to develop more repertoire with whoever the new receivers are. They're coming. And the tight end, because we traded one of the tight ends, right? When Mark Andrews wasn't there, Hayden Hurst actually took over those catches. But yeah, I thought Hollywood Brown was fed enough he was a rookie again, playing hurt. So I can see them utilizing the receiver. D-Hop would have been great because it would have been a big target, bigger body frame. Hollywood is a smaller guy, dude. But yeah, I think he will be fine. Again, my biggest development that I want to see from Lamar is throwing receivers on stride.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something that he can really work on developing and everything. So I guess the last team to go here is the Browns, the future of the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, I feel like we talk about the Browns a lot. In the Browns' future, I think it's really make or break this season. I think they could have 4 or 5 great years up in their future. I think they can have a dysfunctional mess. I think it really can go either way with both with the Browns, because you look at what they have. Baker Mayfield, he's on a prove-it year. Not, this could be the end of him, being somebody who's going to get that extension to his contract. You look at Odell and Jarvis. If the Browns don't make a significant playoff push or make the playoffs this year, it's going to look real hard to justify those contracts at those positions. They signed Austin Hooper to a long-term deal with 3 years. They got Jack Conklin on 3 years as well, so that's good there. But then you start looking at guys like Myles Garrett. This team doesn't look like they're going to contend. Are they going to spend, the $30 million a year it's going to take to retain a guy like Myles Garrett? The future is really dependent on what the Browns do this year. I think they have a certain number of wins to hit, or else this whole thing's going to get blown up, because we also have to remember with the Cleveland Browns is that this rebuild has been inherited by somebody. It has not been birthed by the current regime. So this thing don't look right. It'll get blown up real quick, because that's just how this business works in the NFL.
Where do you think this roster stacks up in, last year a lot of it was talked about how the roster stacked up at the NFL, and there was all, they got to make the playoffs. They could be contenders in the AFC, right? Obviously that, come back down to earth after what happened in 2019. But, once again, they have had an off season of adding the right kind of talent. You talked about the offensive line. Where do you feel like, just in this division right now, just talent-wise, not talking about anything off the field stuff, the personalities meshing together, just from a talent perspective, where do you feel like the Browns sit in the AFC North?
I think they're sitting at top conversation. I think there's really very little separation right now between all 4 teams. I think the Ravens are the favorite, and they're rightfully the favorite. They won the division the last 2 years in a row. They deserve that spot. They have the reigning MVP. But, I'm not going to sit here right now and act surprised if they finish 10-6 and have a little bit of a step back. Mm-hmm. The Pittsburgh Steelers, I wouldn't be surprised. They could easily go 11-5 if Big Ben is who Big Ben, was. And I think the Bengals could easily come in and do an 8-8 or 9-7 kind of a push. And with the Browns, I think the Browns are going to go 10-6 this year. That's the talent that I think they're going to be able to utilize. But if the Browns pulled something out their butt and went 12-4, I wouldn't be sitting here amazed. I think they definitely have the talent to do it. I just think it's so hard to because the Ravens on paper, if you look at the roster, they're not that eye-popping of a talented team.
Right.
They just work really well together. Same thing with the Steelers.
Right.
If you look at the 2 most eye-popping teams, they're honestly the Bengals and the Browns. But, they're just, as far as talent, you have the MVP, but there's more spread around. There's more star power.
There's 2 things that the quarterbacks for the Browns and the Bengals, I'm not bashing on Burrow. He's just a rookie, so let's be realistic. But we are stacking our defense in a way that to generate turnovers, and then we are gonna be running the ball. That's how this team is set up currently. Force a stop, force turnovers. That's what Baker likes to do. Throw to the other team, and then run the ball. Run the ball. That's how this team is set up. And again, this is no knock on Burrow. He's just a rookie. So I expect growing pains with any rookie. We had Lamar in his first year, right? And then Baker, first year, second year, actually, was a little bit worse. Even Big Ben, all rookies go through this, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Big Ben won a Super Bowl in his second year, but
Oh, wait.
He was 15-1 his rookie year. But other than that, most rookies, I agree with you.
You might have to also tell that to your GM who can't get contracts together, Michael Brockers.
but Sonny, you brought up an interesting point. You mentioned that all quarterbacks are going to have that little bit of a slump eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You think Lamar Jackson ain't going to have a slump?
But you can argue his first year, he didn't really threw a lot of balls, right? So
there's going to be an adjustment period coming at some point. If last year was kind of like his rookie year as far as him as a passer in the NFL, which I
and in an offense designed for him.
Yeah, an offense that kind of took the league by storm. I'm not trying to downplay anything that he's done, but if we're saying like that kind of a slump is inevitable, the more they expose a certain part of their game. The Ravens did expose a lot of, not like expose in that kind of way, but they did show a lot of what the Ravens game is going to look like next year. Like, it's not going to be a surprise when the Ravens come out and pistol with the fullback behind the right guard. That's not a surprise anymore.
Right.
So
I agree.
Do you think that slump is coming with Lamar? That's what I'm asking.
So I think that it goes back to what I said. Like, if Lamar starts hitting people in stride, it might be game over, because the problem is the teams are just going to try to stop the run. Not only Lamar, Mark Ingram, and just the running game. So that's why receivers who have that small, even if it is a small padding, this padding will be there. So if Lamar starts throwing people in stride, it's going to happen two things. Or the teams are going to be like, well, I'm going to die in that hill. I'm just going to let him pick me apart, and he will have to keep showing that. Or they're going to start pulling back, and then we're going to power run them. But my point is more than just the offense, is this team has invested on the defensive side. Mm-hmm. And then, again, a defense we blitz a lot. And I think what they're trying to do is figure out a way that our D-line can generate pressure without blitzing all the time, right? That's why we brought Calais Campbell. We have Wolf now. We have Judon right now. There's rumors that we might add Matthews, but who knows? We might draft somebody also for the defense and then look for the receiver, right? If we do that, right, and we still have Peters, E.T., we brought Jimmy Smith as our fourth corner. So this defense is based on, we're going to stop you, and then we're going to run through you, milk some clock, rest our defense. Our defense is going to stop you again, and that's the formula. That's how this team is constructed. We're not constructed like KC. KC is constructed, we're going to outnumber you. We're going to just score 50 on you. If you score 40 on us, that's fine, because we're going to score 50. Our team is more, we're going to stop you. And if we win 20-10, that is fine, because we're going to milk this clock. We're just going to get the game over like that.
I don't know. You don't want to be built like the team that just won the Super Bowl, though. Like that.
That lost the Super Bowl.
And my biggest thing is, like, I actually think it's going to go the other way as far as teams trying to defend the Ravens next year. If you look at the teams that honestly had the best success against the Ravens, it were the teams that were able to, kind of let whatever happened with Mark Ingram in that run game go down and really focus on stopping the pass. Because I've said this for a while. You guys have heard me. When the Ravens are able to get those 20, 40-yard butt booty naked open Mark Andrews seam balls, that's what kills you.
Yes.
But them getting those 5, 10-yard chunks, let them get it. They're going to score points. They're a very good offense, But if they score points slowly, you can put points back, then that's when they normally get in trouble. If you look at the teams that did have some success against the Ravens, limited success, but success. You look at the Browns and you look at the Titans. Both teams kind of played a similar game against them, where they kind of were able to get some turnovers in the passing game, or flip the game up on the Ravens, where the Ravens didn't have this domineering lead and they were able to just run pace and then do what they do. Right. So I do think the game's going to change a little bit for them, and I think it's just going to be harder naturally in year 2. But I get your point about Lamar developing. That if he is able to develop faster than the rate the teams are able to adjust, then you have a real problem on your hands. But Ace, you had something to say there.
Yeah, I had two things. So the first thing that I wanted to say is I think that at least in Cincinnati, it's already been adjustments, at least from our standpoint, because when I read between the lines with a lot of the moves that we made, it signals that we kind of are targeting a team that can defend against the Ravens. You talk about DJ Reader. This is a guy that's a nose tackle that's going to at least try to stop the run against, those Ravens running backs in Lamar as well. But then we also have guys on the boundaries like Trey Waynes. The reason that they got Trey Waynes and the reason that they got Mackenzie Alexander and Josh Bynes and all of these guys are because they're amazing tacklers against the run. So a lot of the moves that are already being made have been made in Cincinnati. I will shoot you some bail, though, on Lamar, because that was my huge concern with you guys last year is the fact that you literally had no one except Hollywood Brown. Now, I know that you guys also had another rookie there, bigger receiver. Boykin. I think Boykin has some talent, but I think it's almost kind of like a perfect storm for you guys because this draft is actually loaded with wide receivers. But I also think that Lamar also reminds me of Mike Vick, where you guys talked about earlier, where he relies on those tight ends like Algie Crumplers of the world. So I think that that's always going to be a part of his DNA. But if you guys can get some other solid receivers there, I think that we will see him evolve more as a passer. But I still think that we will never see him be like Andrew Luck or anything like that. I think that he's probably a nastier version of Deshaun Watson, where he can, have games where he'll throw multiple touchdowns, but he's never going to really have like a 500-yard passing game or anything outlandish like that.
Yeah.
Tony, real quick, Mason Rudolph, future of the league?
Devlin Hodges, Duck. My boy Duck is the future of the league. Get it right.
It's going to be a hell of a quarterback competition next year.
We got to talk about the options out there with Jameis or Cam Newton. Like, are the Steelers looking at any of these guys out there?
No. So Kevin Colbert did his quarantine interview on Steelers.com, and he basically said the Steelers are done in free agency now. They made a couple big moves this week, right? I mean, look, they got Derek Watt for $3.5 million a year. And I know, look, and listen, the Derek Watt thing is cute because he's a Watt brother, and everyone's talking. A lot of people in Steeler Nation think they can parlay this into getting JJ. Okay, that's not going to happen. But Derek Watt's a good special teamer, and the Steelers, one of the things about this team and the losses they've had.
Is what you need to put you to the hump.
No, but what I'm saying is like a couple of the losses the Steelers had that aren't big names, right? Anthony Chickalo and Tyler Matakevich, not exactly household names, but they were two very good core special teamers that the Steelers had that they lost. And so bring in Derek Watt, he's a very good special teamer. No, the big signing the Steelers had was Eric Ebron. And by the way, it's not, people keep reporting it's like the Steelers signed Eric Ebron, right? No. They signed specifically 2018 Eric Ebron, okay? And I don't think people have reported that enough because 2019 Eric Ebron, stop. No one wants that guy. He's trash. Absolute trash. But 2018 Eric Ebron, well, this guy had 13 touchdowns, a fantastic year. So that's the guy they signed, and I'm very excited to watch him in Pittsburgh.
And it's not Ladarius Green 2.0.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I don't know. He came from Indianapolis. He has a drop problem. He's insanely athletic and probably going to look really good in training camp.
It's Dante Moncrief 2.0, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Can't wait to see what 2020 Eric Ebron looks. He says, J. Will 501 here says that the Steelers should have kept Josh Dobbs.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Hargrave was a big loss. Yeah.
Hargrave's a big loss, but here's the thing about Hargrave, right? He plays nose tackle in the Steelers 3-4, which the Steelers aren't in base that often anyway. So he's only getting about 60% of the snaps, and that's because Tuitt was hurt, and so he was filling in there. The Steelers are going to hope that Tuitt is healthy now, and Hargrave, wasn't going to get a ton of the reps. Alu can fill in there. The Steelers, by the way, they got Chris Wormley. Appreciate that, Sonny. Appreciate Chris Wormley. That's a good run defender, quality guy. But don't worry, you guys got Michael Brockers, right, to replace him, so it's fine.
Oh, come on, we got the Wolf.
Wait, Brockers. He's in LA now. I forgot about
Tony,
that.
I got a question for you. I've heard because I went to school in Youngstown, so I got a ton of Pittsburgh Steelers fans that I'm friends with. When the hell are we going to see Ola, whatever his name is, finally play some regular season snaps?
I like that, Ace. We're talking about Oladini?
Yeah, James Harrison 2.0.
Ola, listen, Ola got some snaps last year, but there's another name you guys need to know about the Steelers edge rush, and that's Tuzar Skipper. Don't forget about my boy Tuzar as well.
Tuzar, like baseball.
Like a baseball player.
Sounds like he coaches. Sounds like he manages the Pirates. Get out of here. What position?
Multi-talented.
What
multi-talented guy.
What position does Mr. Skipper play?
Edge. He's another edge. I'm telling you. The Steelers are loaded.
I get sacked by some dude named Skipper. I'm retiring out the league. I'm retiring.
Listen, I got bad news for Baker.
Hey, but in the pocket. Oh, here comes Tuzar Skipper running on his heels. Cut Baker.
Hey, Tuzar Skipper led the NFL in sacks last year. In the preseason, okay? So, he's getting there.
Okay, so look, who the
stepping stone? It's a stepping stone.
Who the Skipper takes snaps from? What or what?
No, he takes a break. Whoever's like, hey, man, I need this play off. That's when Ola or Skipper comes in. Otherwise, he ain't going to see those guys. The Steelers have Bud Dupree and TJ.
At some point, I got to respect Tony Hustle here, man, because Tony ain't going to talk about the big names. He's not going to sit here and brag about Ben Roethlisberger or TJ Watt. No, Tony goes hard for the working man in the NFL.
That's right.
Tony is a working's man. He doesn't fawn over Juju. He gets real excited over James
Washington, baby. Let's go.
He's not going crazy for TJ Watt. He goes hard for the dude who got 5 sacks. Like, that's who he
in preseason. Don't forget about in preseason.
So let's be honest. I will concede that the Browns have the best 2 receivers in the division right now. On OBJ and Juice. And I will say Green, when healthy, is probably currently number 3. He can be 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm. Then James Washington right after that. And I agree with that. I'll agree with that.
But that 4th, I would say, is probably
Tyler Boyd. It's Tyler Boyd. Don't disrespect him like that.
It's Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd did have 1,000 yards last season.
Okay, so let me go with Tyler. Okay, fine. I'll go with Tyler. 5th, I have to say, I think.
Oh, is he gonna go Hollywood, bro?
I think
don't do it. He's on the juice. He's on the juice.
What are we doing?
I think Hollywood Brown is better.
We just spent 20 minutes talking about the wide receivers on the Ravens are absolute garbage. And you just went there with it. Hold on. Time out.
Lamar would give his left testicle for Juju Smith.
No. See, look. I had my job interview voice on for the first half of this stream, and Sonny just ruined it. Now I have to be Stephen A. Smith because he's lost his mind.
Look.
Did you just say?
Look,
Marquise Brown.
Look at this.
It's better than all.
He's only got 1 foot.
Did you just say that on national TV?
I said it, and look.
Oh my God.
Hold on.
Juju from whatever last year, which I said when he doesn't have the blanket of AB, he was going to struggle. We discussed this last year.
You cannot judge any Steeler receiver based on Duck and Mason throwing in the ball. And I love Duck, and I'm not trying to bash Duck.
Oh, wait, no.
Play well at the end of the year.
Wide on that argument. Have you judged Browns wide receivers within the last 20 years? Okay, you can judge Juju.
And I'm going to continue doing it right after we get done with this Hollywood thing.
All right, because Duck and Mason Rudolph don't hold a candle to a man named Brandon Whedon. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Yeah, Brandon Whedon wasn't throwing anybody though. You guys legitimately didn't have any good.
Josh Gordon, who led the league in receiving yards.
Josh Gordon for how many games? Listen, I don't want to make
12 games. He did it in 12 games. With Jason Campbell, Brian Hoyer, and Brandon Whedon.
Yeah, that's true.
Got drafted as a 30-year-old man.
But let's not take attention away that Sonny said the 5th best wide receiver in the AFC North had 584 yards last season.
Yeah. On a running
584. That's it. Hold on a second. I got news for you.
Tony's starting to like it. 584. That's Tony's territory.
735, my friends. That's J-Dub James Washington. In fact, Deontay Johnson had
We have
6
lost our mind on this stream.
Juju, who only played in 12 games last year and had crap quarterback play the whole time. 5. So I accept your apology, Sonny.
No.
This social distancing is making everybody go crazy.
I
right
was
now.
saying that Hollywood with 1 foot played 12 games and he was the 5th best receiver in this division. Again, I think OBJ, Landry, Green, and Boyd. And we can take Green last year because he didn't play, right? But if healthy, I think Green is number 3. Boyd, agree, 4th. You're right. But I think 5th, Hollywood, and then you can put
Hollywood. Wow.
You can put Juju or James or Deontay Toledo.
Deontay Johnson. Now listen, I'm going back to the well on this one. Deontay Johnson is the most talented receiver.
Put my boy Crazy Dog on the screen right now.
Are we really saying that Hollywood is the 5th best receiver in this division? Are we really saying that?
He's absolutely.
Dog, Hollywood's not even the 5th best wide receiver. The 5th best receiving option on the Ravens right now. They got 4 tight ends I had to throw to. All right.
He was our number 2 option last year. It was Mark Andrews.
You could have made the argument that Mark Andrews is the 5th best wide receiver.
But I didn't want to put tight ends because if we put tight ends, I think for sure Andrews is our best receiver, and then you can argue.
Tell him that John Ross is the 6th best wide receiver right now. Come on, top.
Yeah,
John Ross.
Is Hollywood Brown better than John Ross though? Like John Ross played last year and had 500 yards,
Hollywood Brown
and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
John Ross did look pretty hot, and he run a 4.240.
The only thing is John Ross can't stay healthy. That's the only thing. So.
Neither can Marquise Brown, though.
Hey, he played 11. He played 14 games. He started 11, and he had 7 touchdowns, 584 yards, and a team that run the ball for the most part. That's what I'm saying.
Past them yards quick. He went past.
Just saying.
I still gotta go with Juju at number 5.
Come on.
I still gotta go with Juju.
You will see Juju again.
Tate had better numbers than Marquise Brown in 12 games.
You said Auden Tate did?
Auden Tate had better numbers than Marquise Brown in 12 games. Yeah. So what are we doing?
That was in garbage time. That was in garbage time.
No, it wasn't.
Let's make sure this is correct information.
Yeah, Auden Tate had 575 yards.
It is. Auden Tate got off last year. Auden Tate got off last year.
12 games.
He had 570 what?
575.
And Marquise had 584 with 7 touchdowns.
All right, so they're equal. They're equal. He had Auden Tate numbers.
I'm pretty sure
Auden Tate only had
Brown had significantly more snaps than Auden Tate. I'm pretty sure of that.
How many targets did Hollywood have?
Sonny.
Anyone.
You know what? Shout out to you because somebody had to go over this stream, man.
I'm just saying.
That was a good hot take.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Troy.
Hot takes.
Sonny, I know you've seen this video, right? The Ravens put out this little video of Marquise Brown like doing routes in wherever he was, and all these Raven fans are like, "Oh, he looks hot." He was running these routes so slow. Like I was like, there was no explosivity to these routes.
He was practicing.
Jogging.
He was practicing with his boy AB.
Fire emojis below there. I was like, come on. This is like when that one dude put up bed in that high school gym throwing in hoodie and a sweatshirt. Like, oh, you better be scared of him.
Oh, man.
I told you guys about Robo Ben. I tried to warn you.
You know what, though? I love that Steeler fans will just get excited at the whiff of Ben because it helps my Twitter gain like popularity when I roast the Steelers for just being unrealistic.
I've told you guys this before. Ben is all we have left. I mean, it's all we got. After Ben, it's over.
And all I'm saying is wide receivers are a cursed subject on this show. Yeah, there is a long history of getting excited over wide receivers. James Washington might just get like 300 yards next season. Marquise Brown, we'll see. We'll see. The Ravens already talk about drafting another wide receiver.
Yeah, they're ready to replace him. He's out.
No, we just need another one, man. Come on.
I don't know though. Ain't Jerry Jeudy the same thing, but better?
Judy? Nah.
Judy is better. Judy is better.
Judy's better. No. Yeah,
Judy is much better.
I'm not discrediting that. Look at that.
That's fantastic.
That's your boy.
Shout out to Brett Kiesel.
He's taking that $40 million next year.
He definitely
That's a
is.
Super Bowl. That's the look of a Super Bowl champion.
That's the look of a dude who harasses you at 7-Eleven.
I mean, that's also true.
Be real, your Uber driver pulled up looking like that. Would you get in?
No, you're not getting in the car. You're not getting in the car. I'll walk. I'm fine.
I'm not trying to get dismembered.
Yeah.
Yeah. He looks like he should be.
He looks like he could be in the Tiger King.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Exactly like he can be in the Tiger King show. Definitely, he looks like one of those guys. Exactly.
All I'm saying is that I'm waiting for Colin Cowherd to do the "That's not how a CEO of a team looks" segment.
Yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger. That's all I'm saying.
Yep. Okay, my guys. I think we should mock it up. What do you guys think?
Yeah, let's do a mock. Let's do a mock.
Let me see. Because
Sonny, you better not draft the wide receivers.
Oh yeah. A lot of Steelers picks on this one. We got a lot of picks.
Might as well move to what? Are the Browns after us? Might as well just Joe Burrow. I mean, just write it in.
Joe Burrow.
Chase Young. Let's have a community vote.
Yeah, I like Chase Young here. I like Chase Young here in the Bengals. Big fan of Chase Young.
John Gruden likes Chase Young here. Okay.
Yeah.
You want a football player? You go Chase Young number.
We're going
one.
with the Tiger King. The Tiger King, Joe Burrow, Joe Exotic.
Whoa.
There you go, Quincy.
Who's available to him?
I got Tristan Wirfs. Let me see the D tackles.
Isaiah Simmons is gone. That's good.
Okuda's
gone. Wait, what are the Browns even in the market for a corner? What's the deal with Greedy Williams? Because I like Greedy a lot.
Damn, they took Derek Brown number 3.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Let me see these tackles that's on the board.
All of them, basically.
Are they all available?
No tackle has been drafted.
Ooh.
Let me
No
get my
tackle.
money.
I mean, it's a no-brainer then.
Henry Ruggs. No.
Henry Ruggs at 10?
No.
I like Henry Ruggs a lot.
Yeah, let's get a third wide receiver with the 10th pick of the draft.
Especially with you just pay a bunch of money to your tight end.
Oh, they got that.
I'm gonna get Tristan Wirfs, whatever his last name is. Let's get a fat guy.
Okay, there you go.
Solid pick.
And
If the
then-
Browns have their pick of tackle at 10, that would be insane.
Yeah, that would be.
Somebody drafted Clavon Chisholm.
Who did the Dolphins get at 18? Xavier McKinney at safety. You guys think he's better than Minka or not?
Yeah, I think he's much better.
The way they're talking about him, they claim that he is, but I don't know. Minka was pretty good.
He's better because he has a better last name.
And can he really play? Can Minka really play the slot corner? I've heard a lot about that.
He didn't at all pretty much last year. They played him in one spot because he joined the team mid-year. They think they want to move him around more. Listen, he played so well at free safety. I don't think they should move him around, but I think they're going to because Tomlin loves versatile defenders.
Yeah, but Minka ain't got no hips.
I think this is sort of pick one of these two guys. If
Who are you going with?
I'm gonna go with Queens, but I can definitely see us going for AJ Epinesa.
Pass on wide receiver?
You better scroll down and get a wide receiver.
Hold on, who's the wide receiver still left?
Nah,
You're just going Queen right off?
I got
a lot of people like Queen a lot. I haven't watched his tape yet.
Oh, I'm okay on Queen. I would have preferred Epinesa. Oh, that's right. We got Bengals now.
Ooh,
Bengals.
Okay. It's kind of hard for me to see the screen.
Oh, no running backs taken yet.
No.
Kind of hard for me to see the screen. I can't really.
You
Oh,
on your phone.
No, I'm not on my phone. I'm on my laptop. I tried to
so we have. Let
What
me
position you wanna know?
read you some of the picks. DeAndre Swift, running back out of Georgia.
All right, no running backs. I'm not looking at running backs.
Dale Pitt,
go ahead.
safety out of LSU.
What
Okay.
positions you looking at?
I'm looking at offensive linemen. I'm also looking at linebackers and wide receivers as well.
So lineman, the highest rank is Cesar Ruiz and Ezra Cleveland from Boise State. Wide receivers, we had T. Higgins here. Edge player, we had Terrell Lewis.
Austin Jackson is up there too.
Yep. Austin Jackson from SC's up. Yeah.
Wow.
Taylor.
You looking inside linebacker or edge rusher?
Inside linebacker.
Inside linebacker.
You took Queen, so
Yeah. You got to trade. You got to trade with Sonny.
Ooh. Ooh.
You had these three: Harrison from Ohio State, Brooke from Texas Tech, and Willie Gay Jr. at the highest.
Okay.
Huh.
I'm thinking about this. I was thinking about Delpit because of our safety situation.
Delpit's
But
a good player.
we just picked up Von Bell, though. So we got Von Bell.
And Jesse Bates is good, man.
Jesse Bates is good. I'm going to go with I will take Austin Jackson. Give me Austin Jackson from USC. I'll take that.
Good pick. That's a good pick.
So the Steelers eventually will pick up.
Yeah, we'll be up. Don't worry. We're good.
So they have Quincy.
We'll make a pick.
Surprising enough, DeAndre Swift is still there, and Grant Delpit, the safety, still there.
At least I got J.K. Dobbins, T. Higgins.
Yeah, Marlon Davis.
Can I just say I hate how this draft is playing out for the Steelers?
Let me see the inside defensive tackles.
Inside, the D tackle, IDL. Yeah. Marlon Davison from Auburn, and Justin
Raekwon Davis.
And Raekwon Davis from Bama. Yep.
How fat is Raekwon Davis?
Oh, he's humongous. It's like 6'7", 300.
Hold on, I can tell you right now. He is 6'7", 312. He's a big boy.
Big boy.
But Alabama was kind of garbage against the run last year.
No, that's what he does. He's not a very good pass rusher, but he's a better run defender.
It's a inside. He probably
played 84. This is total
54.
54.
54.
So probably ain't gonna be around.
The next time, hell no. You have Marlon Davidson. They rank as a 40th player, and you're picked 41st.
Let me see his stats, his size.
He is 6'3", 297.
297. He gotta get out of here. We need a fat boy.
What are you looking for? Like a 400-pound sumo wrestler?
I'm looking for this.
Look, 6'3", 304. Just
for some boot. Oh, and his name Matabuke?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, draft him. That sounds like a whole. Yo, tell me that don't sound like somebody.
Oh, we're the Steelers are up next. Let's go. Delpit's still going to be on the board,
Delpit's still there. Delpit's still there.
You better draft J.K. Dobbins.
You need a running back.
Okay. Here's where I am now. Steeler fans who listen to Locked On Steelers with my old co-host Chris Carter will know that he has been saying for months now that the Steelers have to take a running back here. And if the draft played out this way, where the only running back off the board so far is DeAndre Swift, and the Steelers can have their pick of Dobbins, Taylor. They have Edwards-Helaire, who I love. I mean, Edwards-Helaire is one of my favorite players in this draft.
Same.
Are we doing this by what I think the Steelers should do or what I would do?
I just drafted a dude because of his last name.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Got it. Okay. Show me wide receiver. Oh, I see. Peoples-Jones the only one left, so that's gonna be Pittman's gonna be available too, right?
That would seem like a pick y'all would do.
So another wide receiver.
Yeah.
It's the problem is there's no value at wide receiver anymore, even though this is a good wide receiver draft. Peoples-Jones is okay. I like Pittman though. He's 6'4", and he's exactly the kind of receiver the Steelers like: big, physical, good off the line of scrimmage, combat catch guy, catch radius.
Serviceable, but not great.
Yeah. Show me safety again. Is Winfield? Oh, Winfield and Delpit are both still available.
Yep.
Well, y'all better draft J.K. Dobbins.
I'm gonna take Delpit. And listen, I understand that the Steelers already have Terrell Edmonds. I'm gonna take Delpit anyway. There's three safety sets. Delpit last year. If he comes out last year, he's a top 10 pick.
Good.
I got him at 49.
That's a great pick.
That's a great pick for the AFC North.
Even though you could have kept your, first rounder.
You would have got J.K. Dobbins.
Because we got an all-pro.
I would have pooped my pants.
All right, Sonny, where are you going?
Y'all should get Jonathan Taylor on the board.
You gotta go to wide receiver, man. You gotta.
The problem with wide receiver is there's not a lot of value here.
It is for the Ravens.
Wait, hold on. Look up Brandon Ayuk, the guy from Arizona State. Isn't he like 6'7"? Yeah.
No, he's not that big, but I actually drafted him.
Yeah. You got another pick in the second round?
Yeah, man.
Goodness.
Ooh, load up.
Where are you going?
Y'all always draft some dude with some last name that's
Aguara.
Owasu Peanut.
Okay, so here's the picks, my guys. Here are the picks.
The Browns killed it.
Burrow and Austin Jackson.
The Browns killed
it. Worth and Matabuke.
Look at my boy right now. Matabuke.
The Ravens pick Patrick Queens, Brandon Ayuk, and Okwara. And then the Steelers pick Delpit. Now, I will say we are the team with the most picks in the first 2 rounds. That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, it's because of the trades you made, right? The trade for what's his name? I want to call him Hunter Henry, but he's not Hunter.
Hayden Hurst.
Hayden Hurst. There you go.
I'm looking up pictures of Matabuke. Really thick legs.
Here's the thing about the Steelers. Here's the thing about me taking a safety there in the second round, right? The Steelers already have 2 starters, Terrell Edmonds and Minka. Taking a safety there may not make a whole lot of sense, but they don't have a ton of needs right now. I mean, there's no glaring need on the Steelers right now because of what they had drafted or because of what they signed in free agency. Did you say quarterback? Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest thing.
You draft the quarterback. Hold on.
I didn't even look. You notice I didn't even look. We didn't even go to the quarterback page. I don't want to know. There's no chance in hell they're taking a quarterback with the second pick or their second round pick. Not a chance in hell. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. His name is Duck Hodges. He's a world champion, okay, in duck calling, and he's also a very good quarterback.
And duck calling.
I think Troy has something with trading up for Lamb. That would be a good pick for you guys, especially with him coming from a quarterback that's kind of mobile. That might be a good weapon for Lamar.
And let's be real. All the Steelers' best receivers are old Baker Mayfield targets.
The Steelers' best receivers?
Yeah, they get a lot of old Oklahoma guys.
Oh, we used to. Now we got Oklahoma State guys. James Washington, Oklahoma State.
You're talking about the Ravens.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Ravens.
Oh, the Ravens.
Steelers. Yeah. I agree. Hey, Oklahoma has been good to us. We have Junior over there on the right tackle side. We have Andrews and we have Hollywood. So I wouldn't mind if CeeDee Lamb is there for us.
And trade us.
That would be nice.
Trade us Lamar for Baker. You could just do Oklahoma.
No, I'm fine with Lamar. You can keep Baker.
Hey.
So let me just throw this question. I think we discussed this last week, and with this, if you guys want, we can go ahead.
Let me show y'all my boy real quick.
We gotta get
Don't that look like a whole Ace? First of all, my boy look like he cooked ribs. All right. I know he's a good D tackle.
He looks like he could be Andrew Billings' brother.
My man definitely singing his church choir.
Yeah, definitely.
He definitely gets sweaty early too. He definitely one of those. But anyways, before I distracted everybody with that nonsense.
Oh man. Look, somebody at
See, a lot of the Steeler guys in the chat are saying I should have taken Taylor. And I mean, look, the Steelers probably will take Taylor there. I just don't value running back like that. I don't value running back like that. I don't think the value of Taylor at 49 versus if we can wait till the third round and get Edwards-Helaire or someone like that, or even like a Cam Akers. I just feel like those players are not that different in an offense like the Steelers where you don't need to the focal point of the offense is not going to be the running back.
So the problem is
what?
Your quarterback
I guess
anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, the focus of the offense is going to be Mr. Ben Roethlisberger.
With the Tommy John elbow.
Yeah, exactly. It's not Tommy John's, by the way. Not Tommy John's. Some other kind of surgery. Definitely not Tommy John's.
Some other elbow injury with similarly length recovery rate.
Yes.
Not Tommy John.
No. Tommy John's will take you like a year. Ben's going to be throwing here in a couple weeks. There's no quarantine to be throwing right now.
He's going to be throwing chili bugs back on his recliner.
Whatever it takes to get that arm worked out.
Like somebody who's ready to be back in the society.
Hey, didn't they say that they saw him casting for Duck Dynasty with Duck Hodges?
Him and Duck, it's a perfect match.
Be real. Ben Roethlisberger been on quarantine before this whole corona.
No, he don't understand what coronavirus is.
We're going on.
Okay, so to wrap up, because this is something that doesn't matter in what stream I am. They always ask, and since we have Mr. Clown here itself. I had to ask, I think we discussed this a little bit last stream, but since it wasn't live and we had some people here chiming in, the offense for the Browns, is it going to be running or is it going to be more passing? Is it going to be more like Baker's first year or more like last year's? Because they added another weapon that is a catching tight end, right?
Well, he's a blocker too. He coming out of coming out of college, Austin Hooper was lauded for his blocking ability.
Yeah, you didn't make him the highest paid tight end for blocking.
Yeah, all I'm saying is that he was a blocking tight end until he started catching the ball, and all of a sudden people are like, well, he's a receiving tight end. He's an all-around good tight end, And look, here's what the Browns are going to do. You're asking me if they're going to be more like Baker's first year or more like Baker's second year. Clearly, they're going to be nothing like – okay, I don't know what he just said. But clearly, they're going to be nothing like last year because last year sucked and they went 6-10 and they were garbage. Why would – come on now. That would be
I'll agree with you. The offense is going to look different. You're going to lose the same number of games, but the offense will look different.
That'd be like if OBJ decided that he wanted to take his game to a next level, so he started doing James Washington's workouts. Like, come on, this is hustling backwards.
Fair.
So yeah, it's probably going to look closer to what they did, but it's probably going to be something completely different in year one. It's going to be kind of that Kyle Shanahan run-heavy offense. And honestly, if you look at the success they had in Minnesota with Dalvin Cook, you look at the success that they had in San Francisco with dudes who came off the street. You put Nick Chubb and Jack Conklin in that kind of a role with Kareem Hunt as the backup for the whole year, too, because they took marijuana off the CBA. Shout out. But you put that in there with the Kyle Shanahan zone blocking scheme. That's a hard thing to stop. And then you could pull the ball out and say, yeah, I'm going to do a play action bootleg and throw this ball all the way down the field to maybe the best slant runner in NFL history, Odell Beckham Jr. And if he's not open, we'll just dump it off to Juice Landry, who is a beast after the catch. I know because he has thoroughly embarrassed players on all of y'all's teams.
I love Juice.
With the ball in his hand. Juice
the problem is when Baker throws that pick.
He ain't going to throw the pick because Baker is surrounded by blankets this year. See, last year he had no blanket. No blanket. They just threw the boy out there with Freddie Kitchens. They didn't give him no blankets. They took away David and Njoku. They were like, hey, Baker, just yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we've all had those.
Listen, we talk about Jameis. We joke about Jameis in the 30-30 club. Baker's right behind him in the 2020 club last year. I don't know if Baker can get to 30 touchdowns. I'm not sure he can get to 30 touchdowns. But 30 interceptions, it might happen.
He's going to get 10 on the Steelers alone this season.
10 interceptions? Yeah.
10 touchdowns against them right now. 5 on the head, Tony. And he's going to get 20 against everybody else. He's going to get 30 of them boys over against y'all. And
Baker got outplayed by Duck.
Sonny, I don't know why
I'm not worried.
I don't know why Sonny is laughing or smiling right now because Baker Mayfield has a winning record against your precious Ravens.
That's fine. Okay.
The only team he has yet to conquer is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who he has a losing record against. And I think he's 3-1 against the Bengals. Yeah. But Ace ain't jumping.
Yeah.
3-1. So look, Baker Mayfield is going to look a lot better in the Kyle Shanahan offense. Like if you look at what Jimmy Garoppolo has done in that offense, Jimmy Garoppolo is garbage. Yeah, I said it. He's garbage. He's trash. How I know he's trash?
He's overrated, but he's not.
Here's how I know he's trash. Kyle Shanahan ran the ball for entire possessions multiple times in the playoffs and the Super Bowl. When people do that on Madden, that's when they have a trash quarterback. It's like, I'm going to just run this thing and not throw the ball because my quarterback's going to throw one of them garbage interceptions. Jimmy Garoppolo threw an interception in the NFL with his eyes closed. He's trash. He's trash. I don't care what nobody tells me. He's $100 million worth of garbage that somebody bought and Kyle Shanahan is desperately trying to sell. I've never seen a guy scheme around his star quarterback more than I've seen somebody scheme around Kyle Shanahan. And they still got to the championship game despite that because that offense can open up a lot of.
Well, I would actually argue the Titans probably hit Ryan Tannehill a little more. Didn't Ryan Tannehill throw 6 passes against the Ravens?
It was a lot. I don't know.
Nobody is acting like Ryan Tannehill's good.
Yeah.
When Ryan Tannehill signed that contract, what did everybody say? Well, that's good for Ryan.
I think they're 14. Okay, I was wrong.
Nobody said that was good for the Titans. Nobody was like, "Oh, the Titans, you better watch out," other than Titans fans. So we already know Ryan Tannehill was garbage. But everybody wants to talk to me. Well, not everybody, but a good chunk of people want to talk to me about how Jimmy Garoppolo is still going to be good. That boy is garbage. And then they tell me, just wait, Jimmy's going to develop into a great player. That boy 30. That boy 30.
He is a little old. He is a little old.
That's like with Taysom Hill, how people are like, Taysom Hill's going to develop into a pocket passer. Lamar Jackson is 23 and you won't give him that ring, but you're going to tell me this 30-year-old going to start?
I don't understand the Taysom Hill hype. I do not understand it.
So the question, I think the San Francisco 49ers should go after a guy like Cam and make an open competition between Cam and
They should have.
They don't have the cap space for that, do they?
They probably do. I don't know.
Calling off Jimmy Garoppolo on like the Steelers. Y'all would take a garbage quarterback like that, you know?
Yeah, we would take Garoppolo in a heartbeat to back up Ben. Yes, no doubt about it.
They have 14 mil. I mean, at this point, Cam needs to probably take a cheap deal full of incentive, and you make an open competition.
Where do you guys think Cam's going to end up?
Troy, what you talking about? Baker does have a winning record against y'all because it's 2-2, but you know. Is it 2-2? Yeah, 2-2. But he won the game that when they were on the winning streak, so that adds an extra percentage point. So that's over 500. It's over 500.
Whoa, that's actually a great point.
Whoa, that's not true. We lost.
He won at home. He won at home. He beat the Ravens in Baltimore, and y'all was a better team. So
that was after we lost to KC, because I remember you guys beat us, and you're like, "Oh, we're 2-2. Oh, hold on, here the Browns are coming." After that, we didn't lose any game, and we know what happened to the Clowns.
You got lucky for 14 weeks straight, and then your luck ran out.
Yeah, of course.
But
that's just facts.
Yeah, but we got to do this college football style. Which win was more unexpected? So it means more. The Browns. So Browns have a better 2-2 record against the Ravens. And that's
I don't think at that point the Browns were unexpectedly winning. They were early in the season.
No, the Browns looked like doo-doo the first 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah, remember they got slapped by the Titans week 1.
Yeah, it was because they got beat by the Titans. They looked like garbage against the garbage Jets, and then they just lost to the Rams on one of
Rams.
Yeah, they caught the draw play on 4th down. Everybody knew the Browns were going to be garbage by that point.
I recall somebody saying we're gonna go perfect season on the back end.
Well, remember that's after they beat the Bills. They beat the Bills they beat the Bills and Steelers in back-to-back weeks, and all of a sudden Quincy thought, "There's no stopping this train now."
It looked like a train was rolling downhill.
I think Cam's going to either Miami
then you
or
ran into Duck.
Denver.
See, the problem is you didn't see Duck coming, right? Duck showed up, and that's when the Browns hype train had to get a little derailment.
No, the Duck ain't what happened.
Duck is what happened.
Mason Rudolph helmets what happened. Okay, that's what happened.
Didn't hurt. Well, it probably did hurt Mason, but
Myles Garrett going Super Saiyan 6 on Mason Rudolph is what happened that ruined the season.
Okay. I think Cam goes to either Miami or Denver. That's where I think that he's going to be.
But the
LA.
I don't see it. Denver.
LA is a possibility as well.
Yeah.
I don't see Denver because Denver has a young guy. I don't think Cam is here to.
Drew Lock is enough for you to pass on Cam Newton?
I mean, right now everybody's passing on Cam Newton.
Yeah, but
I think Miami is.
I don't think people were passing on him because remember there was that report that came out like a month ago, like, "Oh, Cam's off the market. It's not happening anymore."
Right.
And then like the free agency thing happened, and then all of a sudden the Panthers are signing Teddy Bridgewater, and then he's like, "Oh, I want out," but it was literally like after all quarterbacks made their decision.
No, they did him dirty, and then and the Bengals did the same thing to Andy Dalton right last year, where they didn't put him on the trade market, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, you're benched now." I mean, signing Teddy and then being like, "Okay, hey Cam, you can go look for a trade now."
I'm surprised
they did him wrong there because there's not a whole lot of landing spots for him anymore.
I think Miami. Miami is the only one.
I just find it hard for like Cam to go to a situation. I love Cam. I think Cam's a great person. I think he's a good leader. But Cam's not necessarily the type of dude that's going to be like, "Yeah, I'm just holding this down for my homeboy."
Right.
That's not how. Right. That's not really how he kick it.
Right. I'm worried about him going to Miami though. I don't think that's the best environment for him.
But that might be the only one though.
Well, Cam Newton in Miami. That's gonna be hot. That's gonna be.
I don't know if that's the best opportunity. That's the best place for him to go to.
Cam, look, let's talk about the greatest Cam Newton place that he can go to. Can you imagine Cam Newton filling in the full void for Tom Brady?
Yeah, that's the spot.
That's the spot. Crazy. Can you imagine Bill Belichick after going in a press conference with one of them sweaty hoodies and then Cam coming in with a little suit and the glasses?
Yeah, Bill Belichick.
I don't understand how it hasn't happened yet. It makes so much sense.
Cam trying to do team speak is going to be the best meme of 2020. Exactly. I thought the Ravens came at us incredibly.
Here's the odds courtesy of BetOnline. Chargers 2-1, Redskins 3-1, Broncos 4-1, Patriots 4.5-1, Jaguars 7-1, Dolphins 7-1, the Raiders 16-1, the Steelers 28-1, the Bengals 40.
Steelers.
So the problem that I have is if you have a young quarterback, Cam Newton's not, like Quincy was saying, he's not there to be like mentoring or none of that.
Right.
He's there to, this is my job and I'm not losing it. So if you have a young quarterback like the Redskins that they think they can develop, Broncos, they seem to be like in lock. So those teams, I wouldn't say that they're in for, but right now you have Miami. It has nothing.
They're going to have two of them. They're going to get two.
You got to win now. You can't just sit back and say, is this guy going to work out or not? Especially if the Chargers are down. Phillip Rivers just left that division. You look at the Patriots, they're vulnerable right now. Miami could go and take them. You can't just say we're just going to sit back and trust this guy, because if he's not the guy, then you're in trouble.
Yeah. Look, here's why the Chargers need to desperately sign Cam Newton. They are trying to get fans to come to that new stadium in SoFi, and they barely sold out the StubHub Arena, which only seats 20,000.
Soccer stadium.
And look, I'm just let's be real. We all have some kind of economic knowledge. We're all adults. Nobody is checking for the Chargers in LA to begin with.
No.
They're not about to be like, oh, Tyrod Taylor holding it down. Let me go buy a ticket for that. No, it's going to seem like the Clippers to the Rams Lakers. If you're the Chargers, you need to get something to make people want to care about you or think about your team. And signing Cam Newton, he's going to be all over the television set. People are going to know there's actually another team in LA. And it makes sense. You know, Cam really never has had those wide receiving targets there like a Keenan Allen throughout his career. Like he had with Steve Smith on the back end, Greg Olsen, all reliable, but that was just the one dude. So Cam Newton really has not benefited from having a lot of targets. And I think, I thought the best place for him to go would be Tampa Bay because that made a ton of sense. Him with Mike Evans, that could be something dangerous. Yeah. But, I think Cam going to LA, the Chargers, they in a whole new uniform, put Cam in there, let him do his little dances and all that. Like, ain't nobody going to be mad about Cam being Cam.
That's why I don't think it will work with Bill Belichick. Like, they're too, I think I saw the meme where it was like if Cam sends Bill Belichick a text message in that weird text, like,
hey, but tell me, sit there with a straight face, tell me you don't want to have it happen just for those stories. Like I would watch every single Patriots game because I can't wait till Cam does something he's excited about. He's celebrating and he runs to Bill Belichick to dap him up. And what is Bill Belichick going to do when the dap comes to him from a man that's esteemed in the art form is Cam Newton? That is not everybody's ready for that.
The next day, Patriots release Cam Newton.
Feels like maybe
Bill Belichick retires. One of the two.
There's not. It doesn't seem like there's a huge market. Although I think Mark makes a good point in the chat where he says teams can't perform medicals right now, which may be holding up any sort of like, hey, let's look at Cam and make sure that he's going to hold up. But it also feels like to me like and you guys are bringing up a good point about Cam not wanting to play placeholder for a guy. Maybe he waits until after the draft. Right, because the Chargers end up getting Herbert and the Dolphins end up getting Tua, right? Those are two places he's not going to want to go.
Right.
Even the Redskins, look, they have Dwayne Haskins, but, he did play for Ron Rivera there. The Redskins, I think, is an interesting one.
Dwayne Haskins ain't worth holding out for nobody. I mean, I didn't see anything promising.
Right. I think the Redskins are caught up because they've got Alex Smith's contract. I don't know how that's going to – that's probably what's keeping them at bay right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And they got Dan Snyder, who's allergic to making good moves for that team.
Yeah, he's an idiot. Yeah.
Probably going to sign Jameis to a $35 million a year contract.
Did the Bears trade for Foles before Newton came on the market? And if so, how stupid do they feel?
Can I talk about how dumb what the Bears did was? Can I talk about that? All right. So the Chicago Bears, and I know this AFC North talk, but the Chicago Bears.
It's about to be NFC North talk.
Yeah. So decided, hey man, Teddy Bridgewater, you put in some good work. We want you to play for us, but I think you're asking for too much money, Teddy. That 8 up front and that 16 next year is too much money. We can't pay you that. Okay, you still got Mitchell Trubisky. Maybe you just want some competition. Make them breathe a little bit. Maybe that's the route you're going with. You don't really want to pay money for a starter. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So why do you trade for a more expensive quarterback?
Only the Bears.
I think the Jags paid a lot of that salary.
Yeah, and they all the guarantees. They took on all the guarantees too.
That's still $16 million cap hit.
I know.
You can't avoid the cap hit. Like, no. What are you thinking? First of all, Nick Foles played those, like, he had one good season, and then he had a couple of good games, and he really wasn't even that hot in the Super Bowl. He just was there and they won it. All right, cool. Cool. Now Nick Foles has a freedom pass to rob NFL teams of money for the rest of their life, for the rest of his life. All right. Teddy Bridgewater is the most unfortunate NFL quarterback of recent history. I've never seen a dude who has such an unfortunate history. He got drafted by Minnesota after he through no fault of his own. Remember we were talking about the 2014 draft. Remember going into the draft, Teddy Bridgewater was supposed to be the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
That was like when the season ended. Like the Cardinals finished their season, Teddy Bridgewater, consensus top 5 pick, best quarterback in the draft. Jadeveon Clowney hit some dude. Everybody else lost their mind. Next thing you know, he's getting drafted 31 in the draft by Minnesota. He tears his knee when he finally has a good season on a non-contact practice play. His career never rebounds for that because Case Keenum catches fire, gets everybody cut. And then he goes to the Jets. I don't even got to explain that. He just went to the Jets. That's unlucky. All right. And then he gets to go to the Saints and goes 5-0. He went 5-0, had good stats. Everybody's talking about his backup. Why isn't it backup plan? Why isn't he going? He should be a franchise quarterback. He could develop. Teddy Bridgewater is younger. They're talking about the 30-year-old dude behind him that plays kick returner, developing into
he's a good gunner on punt return, though.
Well, Taysom Hill, Troy Aikman can't shut up about Taysom Hill. Teddy Bridgewater actually went 5-0 in football games. All right, cool. He asks for money for Chicago. Chicago's like, nah, dog. We want that Nick Foles. Nick Foles? He's not even good.
They go for the older guy. They went for Jimmy Graham.
Has Nick Foles ever been decent outside of Philadelphia? Like, name me one place he wasn't garbage outside of Philadelphia. He was trash in Kansas City.
Yep.
He got cut. Okay.
Yeah. He was going to retire.
Yeah. He was garbage. He was battling with Kevin Hogan for his quarterback spot on the team. Yeah. And now people are offering this dude $15 million to start. Like, you're going to replace Mitchell Trubisky with a more mediocre, less mobile version and more expensive version of Mitchell Trubisky? What are you thinking? But you could have signed Jameis, and that would have been a much better decision than freaking. Like,
yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
What kind of like decision making? There were so many choices they could have made. They could have got Cam. They could have got. I feel like I'm a Bears fan right now. How just stupid this is. They could have got Cam.
You're heated right now. That's for sure.
They could have got Cam. They could have got Jameis. Like all these options. Andy Dalton. You could replace Mitchell Trubisky with slightly better Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah, true.
Yep.
Especially if they're going for older, right?
See, Teddy Bridgewater was an option. You had all
Joe
these
Flacco.
Okay, let's not get crazy here.
Hey.
We're dipping into Case Keenum territory at that point. All right, but you had all these options. If you just wanted somebody to compete with Mitchell Trubisky, you could have signed Case Keenum. Give him $7 million. The Browns only gave him $6 million a year. He would have took the job, competed with the young boy. But no. They paid $15 million for a dude who lost his job to Gardner Minshew last year.
It's
Gardner
I don't know what the Bears are doing. They obviously are set up for sucking. Well, I'm assuming they went with Foles because Nagy, right? From the Eagles, familiarity with Foles.
I always think they could fix a quarterback, right? You know, that Hugh Jackson swore that he was going to repair RG3's knee. Spoiler warning, he ain't repaired.
Okay.
Nothing got fixed. They lost every game that season.
He won one game because the fans
got injured and Cody Kessler came in. And by the way, have you looked at the Patriots quarterback depth chart? It's hilarious.
It's Hoyer and Stidham.
It's Hoyer, Stidham, and my boy Cody Kessler.
Oh yeah, Cody. They're going to go with Stidham. It feels.
They got the two other short quarterbacks that wore number 6 in Cleveland, and Jarrett Stidham. I guess Bill Belichick, right? What are they doing? Like, what's going to happen there? Are they going to sign Cam?
No, it looks like they're going to just go with Stidham.
Yeah,
that's stupid. Bill Belichick can fix Jameis Winston. If anybody can fix Jameis Winston, Bill Belichick.
Someone brought this up in chat, but they have no cap space right now. I mean, they could probably create some cap space by restructuring some deals and whatnot. I think they're at like $3 million under the cap or something like that.
Just have Bill go to Jameis.
Bill Belichick will go crazy.
You want to score a touchdown?
He will go crazy with the picks. He can't deal with that shit. He will go insane with the picks.
And also, Bill Belichick is a garbage drafter.
Fair.
He is.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. Way overrated.
And right now, we're relying. The Patriots are literally relying on Bill Belichick to have a good draft right now. No Calvin Noy, no Jamie Collins. They lost Danny Shelton. They lost a lot on their defense.
The Patriots usually buy from the Bengals, not the Bengals, the Browns trash, and they become a player as soon as they hit New England for some reason.
Yeah, they're about to trade for Olivier Vernon. Like, I don't know what they about to do. Like, I don't know what they about to do. Like, what? Like, everybody is still not, like, talked about the Patriots as the mess that they are right now. But, like, what the Patriots about to do this season?
Are they? Yeah. No, some people have this. Some people think that they're tanking right now. Like, this is, like, what they're doing is trying to tank so that they could try to get Trevor.
Bill Belichick does not tank. You think Bill Belichick was spying on the Bengals last season to win a game? You think Bill Belichick just about to be there to be like?
And by the way, did anything ever come of that? They never actually released a penalty for that yet, right?
It was supposed to be, the penalty was supposed to be on the way. We never heard anything. Yeah. Then Corona happened. And
Roger Goodell told Bill Belichick, "Stop."
Right.
Okay, my guys, we need to wrap up. We've been here for almost an hour and a half, and guys, thank you for everybody that has been here joining us live. We want to keep doing this show. This is the dynamic you're gonna see. It's a light show. It's fun. It's trash talking, all fun. So come here. You can trash talk us through the chat. I'm SZG Sports. You can find me on SZG Sports on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, IG, wherever. Subscribe to the channel. Quincy, where they can find you, man?
Just put that name you see in that little box on your YouTube search bar, and you'll see a bunch of pictures of me popping up there talking about football. So if you're interested in that, if you like what I do here, please follow me on my YouTube channel.
Ace?
New Stripe City on YouTube. Also, that's my Twitter handle at New Stripe City. You can also find me on Instagram. Not as many followers on there, but you can also reach me there.
Tony.
You can follow me on Twitter at Steeler Country. You can find me. I do a weekly Tuesday show on Locked On Steelers, so you can listen to me there. And also remember, hey, subscribe here. This is the new show, so make sure you guys subscribe, hit the bell, all of that, all the YouTube goodies. I'm also trying to put this out as an audio podcast, although. With the Corona thing going on, a lot of the feeds aren't updating correctly yet, so we'll get that out as well.
Yeah, so we'll have an audio version and the YouTube version, so please subscribe. Don't forget to hit that like button, and hey, keep sharing this, guys. Thank you.
And always remember, Marquise Hollywood Brown is the 5th best wide receiver.
You're 580 yards.
You're great now. You wait and see.